Thanks for joining us on What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Joining us this Sunday is Linda Bowden. She is the new Vermont State President of AARP. Linda, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a real privilege for me too.
Okay, State President. Why did you come across the AARP and really want to be involved at this point?
It's an interesting story, actually. 2 years ago, there was a coffee talk where it was kind of a meet and greet with folks in the Burlington area. We go in and have coffee and have conversation and pastries and find out a little bit about AARP. So I had recently retired and I went into one of these meetings and I said, oh, well, surely you folks have the manual on how to retire and what to do, right? You're AARP. And they said, no, actually there is no manual. And I said, well, I would love to develop programs for you then for the coffee. And they said, great, go ahead. So that was my first introduction to the program. They gave me freedom to bring in all sorts of folks for the coffee talks, for bringing in for the seniors. And we've just had a marvelous time the last 2 years doing those kinds of programming. But that was my first introduction to AARP. And then from there I got on the Livable Community board and was able to work with them and then do all kinds of things like walk audits and park audits and other kinds of council meetings and help with the whatever community grants came up, they would ask me if I wanted to be on the board for that and be able to evaluate those kinds of things. So, yeah.
That's how it started.
That's how it started for me.
Now, this is a volunteer position.
It is a volunteer position,
Some people might say you're taking on a lot to not get paid. But I can sense there's passion behind this.
There is passion and there's enthusiasm. I mean, not a lot of people know that there are great opportunities for volunteering at AARP. And that's what I found is so fulfilling. I'm a big bike rider and they're into transportation in a big way, whether it's working with the buses, for the Bus Buddy program where they try to help folks that don't know how to read the schedule or need help with packages on the buses, to biking and bike safety and working with local motion. And we've got a program we're going to be working with Old Spoke soon, where we're going to have bike programs for seniors. That's one of the things that I'm going to be leading. It's going to start on May 9. And we're just going to get on bikes, no spandex, right?
No.
And just travel all over the city and then come back and have beverages and enjoy being a senior. So, there is life after 50 and it could be fun. And I'm looking for those ways to get involved in that fun aspect. And just try to get folks together with meet and greets, whatever they may be, or the SCAM programs they have, which are fantastic. You learn so much about what you should avoid doing or how to avoid it, and many different opportunities of working with folks. So it's great.
You just mentioned a few, but the state director, Greg Marshall-Don, said Linda is full of great ideas and is committed to seeing them through. So what else is out there for you?
Well, I'm hoping that I can do a little bit maybe with a state legislator, just be a voice for that kind of thing. So there are some efforts that the national office is doing with Stop RX Greed, so the pharmaceuticals and what we can do about that. Thinking about ways that we might limit the tuition debt that is on students, because that's also transferring to seniors.
Sure.
We have accessory dwellings, which people are thinking about. How can we make some of the houses that we have in downtown Burlington a little bit more livable? Universal design. What sorts of things do we put into our homes that make it more user-friendly as we get older and stay at home? Living in place is a big aspect. So there are many different initiatives that I'm really interested in, and AARP is offering that.
So you mentioned a few, and I think, do you find that sometimes when it comes to AARP, there's maybe, for lack of a better word, a stigma of people, it's just senior citizens, it's those over a certain age. But you mentioned to me a lot of ways that AARP can get involved and helped. Do you find that when you reach out and talk to people, they're just as surprised about different ways AARP can get involved and be impacted?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that is a really great statement. I ran into a friend the other day who actually works in the state government, and she said, I didn't realize that there were opportunities for volunteering with the AARP office. You know, whether you want to be in the State House and speaking as a spokesman or out there on bicycles, whatever it may be, whatever makes a livable community is the sort of thing that I'm really interested in. And I think a lot of people are. And we have a big voice, right? There are more and more seniors every day. We hear about that in the news. Let's use those numbers to good to make things work in our city streets.
You had mentioned prescription drugs. When it comes to a concern of something that maybe seniors can't control, or maybe it's you know, out of their control, is that one of the big issues you hear about?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's going to be a national campaign by AARP to bring in the voices of the people that are affected by these prescription problems. They actually had a call to all of the states saying, hey, do you have stories that we can show, so that congressmen and other folks get the idea that we've got real people here that are affected by the prices of the prescription drugs. So with as many folks as there are around the world that are wanting to have this benefit of maybe a coalition of states together could work together for lowering prices of drugs. Maybe we could get drugs from other countries, maybe, you know, Canada, that kind of thing.
And so that is something that's being discussed in the Vermont legislature.
Exactly.
You had also mentioned scams. We often hear about that grandparent scam,
Right.
where someone's calling, you know, this is your grandson, this is your granddaughter, you know, I need help.
Right.
And something that, you know, Attorney General T.J. Donovan has been trying to get seniors more educated about what to look out for. Are we turning the other corner when it comes to these issues? Are seniors becoming more empowered and educated when it comes to this?
Well, I know that the numbers of having these workshops all over the state with AARP, they must do 70 or 80 of those kinds of workshops. So the message is getting out there, and that's all led by volunteers also. But every day, if you go online, there's a new one out there. There is something in some way that somebody is trying to trick seniors, or trick anyone, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a senior or not. Right. But AARP is more interested in those folks that are over 50. That, you know, they have little savings, and so what are they going to do when these sorts of things happen? And as you said, you know, these scams, they're just every day.
Yeah. You had mentioned volunteers. I know that's important to you when it comes to being state president, to really reach more people.
Right.
In which way could you use volunteers?
Well, we just, lots of different ways, depending on what the interests of folks are. A volunteer is, you know, that's a very privileged kind of role. And choosing what your role is going to be is important too. So it's got to be meaningful. So what are they interested in? Are they interested in being a voice in the state government? Are they interested in possibly leading a program for the scam jams? Or would they like to be a tax aide and help along those lines? Would they like to be a bus buddy with the Green Mountain Transit and help folks in there? There are many different ways, you know, speaking up, telling their stories, you know. So it's not the kind of thing where we can pull down jobs and say, okay, we need 4 people here and 5 people there. But depending on the interests of folks, we can come up with different kinds of programs.
And how can they contact you or AARP if they're interested in helping?
Well, there is a 888 number
Okay.
that can be called, and that's something that you can find right online. And one thing I want to mention, you know, the state office is located right in Burlington, Vermont, right? There are only 5 people in that state office. They don't deal with membership. They deal with the kinds of things that I've been speaking with you about as far as volunteer operations, getting out into the community, the scam jams, the tax aid, the drivers, you know, the driver ed, those kinds of programs. So it's completely separate from those other sorts of things that people think about.
From being tied to an office type job and paperwork.
Exactly. But we're doing all sorts of things, from building planters that will give to communities, coming up with different sorts of removable bus stops where people can lean against them if there isn't some sort of seat. Just many different sorts of things. The Little Library Project is another one.
I've heard of that, yes.
Yes, where you build a little library that you put right outside in your front yard, and you put books in it, and people can come by and they can grab a book. Well, we worked with Generator to make those kinds of boxes so that folks could get them and put them in their yard, and you take a book, you put a book back, and it's a way of, you know, sharing in the community when the library's closed, or you're looking for something just in the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
So that's all over the place. I use those in Detroit. I went to a business meeting with my husband and was walking along, and there was a little library. I just borrowed one of the books and read it for the afternoon and put the book back, and, you know, that's the whole purpose of it. Yeah.
Many different ways to help out. Linda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on What Matters This Week.